Thank you for tuning into another video from JRM Recaps. Spoilers ahead. The setting is October of 1988 in Derry, Maine. Bill helps his younger sibling Georgie make a paper boat, and they decide to call it the SS Georgie once completed. Georgie wants to go outside to sail it during a heavy storm, but Bill is too ill to go along with him. Georgie decides he will go out alone, so the siblings embrace before Georgie heads out to play. Georgie sails his boat down the side of the road via a small stream. He pursues it and unintentionally runs into a barricade. The boat sails to the end of the road until it falls into the sewer. Georgie rushes in an attempt to get it, stressed that Bill will be upset. As he peers into the sewer to locate his boat, yellow eyes appear. They belong to a clown that goes by the name of Pennywise. Pennywise interacts energetically with Georgie prior to offering him his boat back. When Georgie attempts to reach out for the boat, Pennywise snatches the boy's arm and sinks his gigantic teeth into it. The thing rips off Georgie's arm and leaves him weeping for Bill prior to hauling him down into the sewers. Fast forward 8 months to June of 1989. We meet Mike as his granddad Leroy is teaching him how to put down sheep with a nail gun. Mike is not doing a very good job, so Leroy scolds the boy prior to carrying out the task himself. It's the last day of school. Bill and his companion Richie, Eddie, and Stanley, who all make up the Losers Club, are leaving school to begin their summer vacation. Sadly, they run into the school's psychopathic bully Henry and his accomplices Patrick, Victor, and Belch. Bill makes fun of Henry after the troublemaker makes fun of his companions, which aggravates Henry. He approaches Bill threateningly until he sees his dad, Officer Bowers, standing next to Bill. He leaves, but not prior to licking his palm and spreading it all over Bill's face. A young lady named Beverly is smoking in the bathroom. A gathering of mean young girls led by Greta start to insult her and accuse Bev of being promiscuous. One young girl fills a garbage bag brimming with water and dumps it on Bev, who braces for it by covering her head with her book. While she is leaving, Beverly meets a young boy named Ben who is new to the area. He gets singled out because of his weight and lack of friends. Bev decides to be nice and sign his yearbook, and Ben starts to foster feelings for her. When Bill arrives at his home, he is met by his dad, Zach, who yells at him for making a detailed model of the in-town sewer system. Bill does this because he believes that Georgie is only missing, but his father Zach advises him to acknowledge that Georgie is dead and move on. Meanwhile, Mike goes to make a delivery at the butcher shop. Behind the entryway around the back street, he hears what sounds like banging and shouting. The entryway opens and charred hands stick out toward him. Mike sees Pennywise, but is then almost run over by Bauer and his gang in a vehicle. Mike takes off to escape. Stan is at a place of worship reading up for his Jewish rite of passage. There is a painting in the rabbi's office that creeps him out, showing a lady with a misshaped face. The painting falls, and when Stan picks it up, it appears that the lady within the picture has vanished. He pivots and the evil clown appears as the lady with a fanged grin. Stan takes off in fear. Ben is at the library looking into Derry's set of experiences. From a progression of articles, he discovers that youngsters in Derry have been vanishing under baffling conditions for a long time. He stumbles upon a book containing an illustration of Pennywise and a missing kid's head in a tree. Ben is then lured downstairs into the cellar where he sees the headless kid prior to getting rushed by Pennywise. Ben takes off. Later, Ben is attacked by the Bauer gang while making his way to his house. Henry's thugs hold him against the extension railing. Patrick wants to sear Ben with a lighter and bug spray, and Henry suggests cutting his name into Ben's stomach. An old couple drive by and see this, however they sit idle and do nothing to provide help. It's also inferred that Pennywise is there with the presence of a red balloon. Henry is only able to cut an H before Ben kicks him in the nuts and runs into the forest. The thugs pursue Ben. In the interim, the losers are waiting at the entrance of the sewers as Bill has persuaded his friends to assist him in tracking down Georgie. Ben falls into the water close to them, and the young men snatch him and carry him to safety. Patrick runs into the sewers to attempt to get Ben, leaving his group behind. He eventually runs into evil-looking kids that make him flee in terror, however he ends up running into a dead end. Red balloons begin to appear before him, which then pop to reveal Pennywise, who ends up feasting on Patrick. The young men go to the drugstore to get cotton balls and swaths, yet they are in need of cash. Beverly is there purchasing personal items when she runs into the young men. In the wake of hearing their concern, Bev tries to distract the pharmacist, Mr. Keene, by flirting with him. He comes off as a creep to her, yet she figures out how to divert him long enough for the young men to take what they need, and for her to slip away with cigarettes. Bev heads outside and joins the young men as they are assisting Ben. Beverly returns home to her dad, who comes off creepier than Mr. Keene. When he comes onto her, she makes a run for the washroom and starts crying. She then, at that point, decides to trim off her hair until it's at a much shorter length. The young men, presently joined by Ben, are at the quarry prepared to hop into the lake, however nobody wants to be the first to jump in. Bev appears and plunges in first, driving the others to join. They have some good times while swimming and hanging out. Afterward, Ben educates everybody with what he has read concerning the town's past. Eddie is heading back home when he passes the condemned house on Neibolt Road. He is unexpectedly chased after by a degenerate man, making Eddie go through the house's yard to get away. As he arrives at the wall, he sees Pennywise attempting to draw him toward him. Eddie runs under the wall and escapes. Bev is in her room with a postcard with a poem written by a mysterious admirer. She believes it's Bill, yet it was really Ben that composed it. From her bathroom, Bev hears the voices of young children. She investigates the sink where the voices are, and clusters of hair begin reaching out to her before a wellspring of blood entrenches the room. Mr. Marsh comes in to see Bev stunned, however he can't see the blood. He essentially remarks that her hair makes her look like a man. Bill is strolling around the house when he sees what resembles Georgie running around. Stunned, he follows Georgie to the cellar, which is flooding. Georgie ventures out and welcomes Bill to go along with him, saying, "We all float down here, you'll float too." He rehashes "you'll float too" until he shouts and deteriorates. Pennywise then appears, rising out of the water, and attempts to grab Bill. Bill runs out of the cellar and manages to escape. The following day, the children are riding their bicycles when they see Mike's bicycle and the Bowers gang vehicle. They go down to the creek to find the troublemakers bothering Mike for being dark-skinned. Bev tosses a stone at Henry's head, which starts a stone-tossing battle between the two parties. Mike goes to the loser's side while Vic and Belch take off as Henry is knocked out by a stone to the head. As the children leave with Mike, Bill makes reference to what he witnessed in his home. Eddie supports him by confessing to have seen Pennywise as well. Mike makes reference to what he saw and shares how his old house was burnt to the ground by bigoted thugs, and his folks kicked the bucket attempting to make their way to his room. Richie is the only one in particular that hasn't had a spooky encounter, however he concedes to being afraid of clowns. The children go to Bill's garage where they review a map of Derry through a projector. They see that the sewers are connected to the Neibolt house, where Pennywise lives. The projector then, at that point, begins working itself, showing pictures of Bill and Georgie with their folks, however with Pennywise's face showing up over their mothers. They push the projector over, but it continues to play until Pennywise completely rises out of the screen and attempts to get the children. They figure out how to escape the garage before he can hurt them. The losers go to the Neibolt house to deal with the clown directly. Bill, Richie, and Eddie go into the house while the others stay outside as posts. Richie sees a missing banner of himself and he goes crazy, however Bill reminds him it's a fake and not real. Eddie gets isolated from his companions when Pennywise tracks him down. He falls through the floor and lands in the kitchen, breaking his arm. Bill and Richie attempt to get to him but are obstructed by 3 doors. The first door they open uncovers a headless young lady. The subsequent door traps Richie inside with a room loaded with clown dolls. He sees a casket with a dummy of himself in it. He closes it, and Pennywise leaps out. He attempts to go after Richie, but he runs out of the room. Pennywise returns his attention to Eddie, yet Bill and Richie get to him before the clown eats him. Beverly then makes an appearance to drive a lance through Pennywise's head, forcing him to run away. Eddie's mother prohibits the losers from spending time with him after she sees her son's broken arm. Bill and Richie then, at that point, get into a fight when Richie says this entire mission for Georgie has almost killed them. The boys head out in different directions as the other young men are excessively scared to continue onward. It's currently August, and the children have moved on with their lives. Eddie goes to the drugstore to get his asthma prescription when Greta, who works behind the counter, lets him know that they are fake treatments known as placebos. She then writes loser on his arm cast. Henry is with Vic and Belch firing things with his father's weapon. He arranges for Belch to present to him a feline to shoot, yet Officer Bowers makes an appearance to take the firearm from Henry. He then, at that point, shoots the ground around Henry's feet to embarrass him in front of his companions and expose him as a weakling. Afterward, Henry sees a red balloon on his mailbox. Inside is a blade, sent by Pennywise. He goes inside as his dad is snoozing with the television on. On the screen appears a lady with youngsters, all encouraging Henry to kill his dad. He does as such by putting the blade in his neck and allowing him to bleed out. The children on television then begin reciting, "Kill them all, kill them all." At the Marsh house, Beverly's father endeavors to follow up on his desire toward his daughter. She fends him off and runs into the washroom. When her father arrives, Bev whacks him across the face with a toilet lid, killing him. Just as she is going to leave, Pennywise tracks her down and kidnaps her. Bill goes by Bev's home and finds her dad dead in the restroom, and sees "You'll die if you try" written on the wall in blood. He understands Bev has been taken by Pennywise, so he goes to his friends to set things right with them and set off to save her. At the point when they get Eddie, his mother refuses to let him leave and join his companions. He ends up going against her wishes and brings up the fake medicine. He leaves and joins his companions. The young men go to the Neibolt house and find a well where IT lives. They climb down a rope, yet before Mike can head down, Henry appears and goes after him. He begins pulling the rope up to prevent the young men from going back up. Henry attempts to kill Mike with the nail gun that he brought, but Mike wards him off and figures out how to push him down the well, sending him to his demise. Going further into the well, Stan is attacked by Pennywise as the lady from the painting. She chomps on his head, yet Stan's friends frighten the clown off and comfort a scared Stan. The group head further into the well where they track down Pennywise's lair. Every one of the kids he's taken are drifting up in the deadlights under a daze of some sort or another. The young men find Bev drifting. They pull her down, and Ben proceeds to kiss her to break her out of the daze. Bill then sees Georgie rise out of the shadows. Georgie tells Bill he missed him and was sitting tight waiting for his brother to come for him. Bill embraces his sibling, however he knows it's not actually Georgie, and he shoots him in the head. His body squirms on the ground until he transforms into Pennywise. The clown attempts to kill the children, however they ward him off until he has his hold on Bill. Pennywise gives the others the choice to die together, or leave him with Bill. Bill advises them to run, yet Richie is quick to retaliate. The children then begin severely beating Pennywise until he is feeble, unfit to hurt them since they no longer fear him. Before Bill can strike the lethal blow to the clown's breaking skull, Pennywise withdraws into the darkness and in this manner gets away. The kidnapped youngsters that are floating above begin to descend out of the sky. Bill then, at that point, tracks down Georgie's raincoat. He understands that Georgie genuinely is gone. Bill breaks down in tears as his companions gather around and embrace him. It is currently September. The losers swear a blood vow to get back to Derry in 27 years should Pennywise ever return. They hang out for some time until every one of them progressively leaves, with just Bill and Bev staying behind. She mentions she decided to move to Portland. As she is leaving, Bill approaches her and kisses her before she goes. Thank you for watching our recap. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for future content. Also, try some of our other videos displayed on screen.